Hi, in this video we're going to be looking into starting from how to create the Lambda and then what is the default behavior in terms of internet access for this newly created Lambda and what happens when it becomes part of the VPC. It is still able to access the internet or not. So we're going to be looking into all those things. So I will be going to the Lambda. We're going to be creating a new Lambda here. We'll call it demo Lambda. We are gonna use the version node 16 just to make things a little bit easier on us. We're gonna go with the author from scratch. We're not using a blueprint or anything like that. We're gonna be creating a function here. Advanced settings had like, do you want it to make it part of the VPC or not? Do you want it to create create a function URL or not? There were a couple of these ones. We just wanna code change. The code has been updated while we were making changes. Okay. So this is the default index file you will be getting. So in order to test it, if it has like the default behavior in terms of having an internet access, is like we're going to be making use of this repo. This repo is Lambda Internet Access Checker. It has provided an index.js file. We're going to be using that in order to see, and I will be putting the link of this repo in the description below. Basically what it does is like, this is our handler and it tries to reach the google.com, and the function basically is trying to hit that, and if it is anything between 200 and 299, basically we are going to be returning a status code 200 that yes, we are able to hit the website. Otherwise, if it gets into a cache block, so we're going to be returning a 500 saying that you do not have, and printing out the error. So once we have it, we're going to deploy that. After that, you can go to test. We're going to create a new test here. Demo test event. Everything looks good. We are not going to be making use of it. It is a self-contained code. You do not need any kind of input in there. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to save that and then I'm going to test it. And we got a 200 back, meaning that the default Lambda configuration or Lambda settings is gonna allow you to make internet calls, get post, all those kind of things. You can do it in your Lambda by default. Okay, the next thing is like, what happens if we want to make this Lambda part of the VPC? The reason you would do that is like you wanted to access the resources which cannot be publicly accessible through and part of the VPC. That's why this Lambda also needs to be part of the VPC. So for that, we are going to be going to configuration and we're going to go to the VPC, and then we're going to be selecting our VPC. If you have more than one VPC, we just have the default VPC here. If you have more than one VPC, you're going to be selecting from whichever VPC you wanted to make part of. Subnets, for now we will just make it part of all the subnets we have. Security group is going to be this one. It has some inbound rules. We are going to save that, and we're going to be getting an error that the execution role does not have permission to call that create network interface on EC2. Basically what is happening is like, we're going to go back and we have to go to the permissions, and inside permissions you can see this role name. We're going to be opening that up, and we have to add a permission here, and we need to look for the VPC Lambda, a Lambda VPC access execution role. That's the one which we want. Basically, a Lambda is able to access the VPC. That is the policy. You can look into that policy details like over here by opening that up. So we're going to add that permission. Now we have two policies here, and then we're going to be going back to our Lambda. We're going to do the same exact thing, make it part of the VPC, tell him what subnets you wanted to connect to, and then the security group is going to be here. And now if you save it, it's gonna become part of that VPC. But the thing is, like, now if you go back to your code and test it, which I'm gonna show in a second, as it's gonna take some time in order to do that, that would fail, and we can test it in a second. And the reason is that now it's part of the VPC, and that particular VPC I connected to, the default behavior of that VPC is like that does not have internet access. And in another video I will be showing how we can make sure that our VPC has internet access. So it has internet access, and then we can actually basically, if you are trying to connect your Lambda to both the internet and have internet access and connect to an RDS, what you would do is like, remember where we had this, we had been connecting these subnets. We are going to be making sure that one of the subnet is public, and we're going to be giving like linking a NAT to it, and then that will give our Lambda the internet access. So that will be covered in another video. I'm just waiting on this to make sure that it is updated before testing that. And another thing is that if you go to the configuration, in general configuration, right now we have it timed out at 3 seconds. So maybe we won't be getting a 500 response. Instead, it's just gonna time out for us. Now it has been successfully updated. So if I go back to the code and test it, so yep, this is the error message we are getting. So the task timed out after 3 seconds. So these are the default behaviors of Lambda trying to reach internet without being linked to a VPC. And when you link it to a VPC, what happens then? Thanks for watching.